Hey there, this is Dosta for Melbourne Body Awareness, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about conscious relating. When you're getting into conscious relating, you are taking the different aspects, the different components of your relationship, and you're working with them consciously. A lot of people generally work with the parts of their relationship as happenstance. They allow them to be how they are, and they just leave them to chance, and there's no conscious work on them. In conscious relating, you're actually saying, okay, there are different parts in my relationship, different components, different modes, different levels, and we want to be able to, as a couple, work on improving them, working on making it more conscious, more juicy, more spicy. When we do this, we look at some of the areas which might be lacking, which things are not being fulfilled, what needs are not being fulfilled, which things are not quite as good as they could be. And we also look at some of the good things. What are the things that are working well? What are the things to celebrate? What are the things to be joyous and grateful about? Now, let's look at some of the levels just so we can get a bit of an idea of how multidimensional a relationship can be. Now, basically, when we're talking about levels, you've got connecting on the level of the mind, connecting on the level of the heart, connecting on the level of the body, and connecting on the level of the soul. Now, when you're connecting with the mind, you're speaking ideas, you're having conversations, you're talking about current affairs, you're expounding your beliefs and your sense of self and these things that go around in your head. It's very much a word-centered process. When you're connecting on the level of the heart, that's more about feelings. That's more about emotions. That's more about that lovey-dovey, gooey stuff. That's the soft stuff, the sensitive stuff. And of course, emotional range has a full spectrum there. Yeah, there's light, there's dark, there's intense, there's subtle. That's connecting with the heart. That's connecting with feeling. Then there's also connecting with the body. That is the physical body. And when you're doing this in your relationship, it means that you're working with movement. Now, of course, when you're in an intimate relationship and you're connecting with your partner, there's a whole range of different movements that you can explore and express on that level. It's got nothing to do so much with the mind and more to do with action and more to do with feeling. Now, of course, feeling and emotion is very intimately connected with the body. When we're working with feelings, we work with the body. And that's why the body, the physical body, is the foundation. Now, beyond all that, we also have the level of the soul. That's the matter of something more divine, something more mysterious, something more holy, something that is sacred. What is it that's precious? What is it that brings you into a larger understanding of yourself? What is it that brings you into a larger picture of the world? When you meet someone and they have a larger connection with nature, a larger connection with animals, when you have a larger connection with this sense of the cosmos and the stars and the planets and all that beautiful stuff, that's connecting with soul. That's an existential component of soul. Now, of course, what is soul? That's something that we can discuss for many hours on end. That's a beautiful discussion to have, and it's also a journey. What you understand as soul evolves and changes as you do and as your understanding of yourself evolves and changes. And of course, it has a component of evolution when you're relating in your intimate relationship. Now, beyond just levels of relating, you also have spheres. Now, in your relationship, you have a social sphere. That's the people that you talk to, the social gatherings that you're involved in. It's very common for mums and bubs to get together, dads and blokes to get together with their hobbies. And that's one sphere. Then there's also the pillow talk sphere. Now, I call it the pillow talk sphere, but essentially the pillow talk sphere is the things that you talk about with your partner, which is only between you two. It's only between you and them and no one else, and it's a secret. It's almost like your private life. This is your pillow talk. Well, that's why we call it pillow talk. And then there's also the sphere of the separatedness of your relationship. Yes. What is your relationship like when you are not in the same room as your partner, when you're at work, when you're doing something out and about, when you're doing errands, or when they're away doing something else? What is it that is happening with your connection in your relationship when you're separated? Every relationship has a coming together and a separating and a coming together in a kind of change and a kind of flux. And then, of course, there's the sphere of the spirit, which is very similar to the level of the soul. Yes, that's what comes back to the level of the soul. What is it that is mystical about your relationship? What is it that puts you in touch with the divine? When is it that you have time to actually go out and be in nature with your special someone? Now, there are also modes, and there are different centers, and there are many different ways we can go on with the ways to look at the multidimensionality of relating. But essentially, conscious relating is taking time to look at each of these individual parts and working on them consciously. The best way to do that, the most efficient way to do that, is to actually attend a workshop where you've got your facilitator and the structure of the workshop working at each of these different levels. That means you might have a technique, you might have a kind of meditation, you might have a tantra exercise that you do with your partner, and there might be a kind of inquiry. Now, inquiry goes a long way. Just sitting down and talking to your partner about these things, that can go a long way. Like sitting down and talking about your feelings, sitting down and talking about, there's something missing from my relationship. There's something that I think we can do to improve this. Or there's something that we're doing too much of, or that we're doing too little of. And actually taking a conscious look into what is it that's going on in the relationship. That goes a long way. So sharing is also related to pillow talk. When you're doing pillow talk, that is a kind of conscious relating. The really good pillow talk is when you're having a genuine inquiry into what is it that we can do to make this relationship more loving, more heart-centered, more intimate, more passionate, with more desire, with more fulfillment, leading to more growth and gratitude and understanding of yourself. Now, there's a lot more to talk about this, and I'd love to keep talking about this all day. But that's at least a little bit to get you started. Now, I am running a conscious relating workshop and tantra workshops, and sort of tantra and conscious relating go hand in hand with that. So you can check out my website, you can subscribe to this channel, we'll be talking more about this, and get in contact with me about where you can join a workshop. So that's all we've got time for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Subscribe, check out my website, and we'll be back very soon with more.